Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MPN 101 community call. Every week, I run the MPN 101 community calls where I simplify the partner program one topic at a time. My name is Chinmay Bhavani Shankar, and I'm part of the U.S. Partner Experience team. And over the years, I've developed this short and sweet MPN 101 series where I take a particular topic, a particular facet of the Microsoft Partner Program, and break it down in simple terms for our partners. I might not be the subject matter expert on everything, but at the same time, I try to get you answers and refer to the subject matter experts to bring back answers as much as possible. Today on the agenda, I'll go over the MPN overview really quickly. This is kind of the norm on every MPN 101 call, so if you've attended one of these calls in the past, please be patient. This might be a repetition for you. The topic of today's call is internal use rights. So I'll start with an overview of the internal use rights, licenses, and resources. And then I'll get into more of how do you activate your internal use licenses, and then some other announcements and other resources that I will talk to you about. The Microsoft Partner Program has 3 membership options. Network membership is free. You get access to training. You get access to a lot of the information that is on the portal, and most of it does not require any sort of payment. The second membership option is Action Pack subscription. So this is a paid annual membership, and for less than, I think it's about $500 per year, you get internal use licenses and you get access to support. There are no exam requirements. All that is required is an annual subscription fee. The third membership option is competencies. Now, this is an earned designation. You'll have to pass exams, provide customer references, and demonstrate some sort of performance. And in terms of cloud competencies, which I'll talk to you about later, it would be sales performance that would be a requirement. And there are 2 levels within this earned competency designation. There's silver and then there's gold, and you'll get incremental benefits for silver and gold. You can get multiple competencies, but you would pay for just the highest. You'll pay only one time per year. So if you have a gold competency, for example, that most of you do, you can get additional competencies, silver or gold, and you will not be paying a fee for either of those competencies once you get one and you've paid for one. Now, there are 17 competencies at this point in time, and I say at this point in time because the partner program does keep changing. As we all know, the technology business has been changing pretty rapidly, so I would be lying to you if I say that these are the competencies for the next 10 years. There are 17 competencies today, and among those, there are 5 cloud performance competencies. And each of those cloud performance competencies are around a cloud product offering. So around Office 365, there are 2 competencies, cloud productivity and small and mid-market cloud solutions. Around Microsoft Azure, there's the cloud platform competency. Around Microsoft Dynamics CRM, there's the cloud customer relationship management competency. And around enterprise mobility and security, there's the enterprise mobility management competency. There are 4 steps to attaining a cloud competency. You'll have to demonstrate sales performance, pass technical exams, provide customer evidence, the customer references, if you will, and pay the fees. Now, one thing to note is that the fee for cloud competencies has changed as of October. So the cloud competencies were subsidized this past fiscal year, and starting October, that's no longer the case. All competencies are at the same price, and if you have a silver or gold competency at your next renewal, this price increase for a cloud competency will apply to you. I'll pause here really quickly if there are any questions. All right. The benefits for these cloud competencies is that you get unlimited cloud support. What that means is you get unlimited cloud support in the cloud competency, in the cloud product that you have a competency in. So if I have an Office 365 competency, I get unlimited cloud support around Office 365, and I'll have to use product support incidents for an Azure question or an Azure technical issue, if you will. You get additional software licenses and Azure credit for development and test. And I'll go over this a little more later on as well, but when you get a competency, there's a core set of benefits that you get. And with every cloud competency, there's an incremental addition that you get in addition to the core benefits. So let's say I get 10 licenses of Office 365 as part of attaining any competency. If I attain a cloud productivity competency, which is a specifically Office 365 competency, then I get X number in addition to that core set of benefits. You also get eligibility to partner incentives with a cloud competency. And you get guaranteed account coverage at a gold cloud competency level. What that means is that you'll get someone to talk to at Microsoft that can help you through your partner journey. Now, coming to internal use rights, which is one of the biggest benefits of getting a competency or an action pack subscription. Now, I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with what internal use right licenses are, but they're essentially cloud services and on-premises software that gives you as a partner firsthand knowledge of product features and capabilities. So with an action pack subscription, you get enough licenses to support up to 10 employees. With a silver competency, you get enough licenses to support up to 25 employees. And with a gold competency, you get enough licenses to support up to 100 employees. You can also stack rank. So you can get multiple silver competencies and stack that up. But do understand that there are limitations per country. There are limitations worldwide. And while our intent with giving you these licenses is to make sure that you know the products better, research has shown that partners that use their internal use licenses to get familiar with the products sell up to 3 times more than partners that don't. But even if you take sales enablement aside, you can use it for increasing internal productivity, you can use it for demo and testing and save money on your internal organizational operations that you would otherwise have to pay for. This is probably the highlight of this call, and I say that because there are a lot of questions that I get about internal use licenses, starting with how many internal use licenses can I get? What are the caps? What if I want to share internal use licenses between countries? As in, I have a competency in country X and it applies to me in country Y. How many internal use licenses can I get? Now, at the IURS site that you can see the link for at ak.ms/IUR, there are a few guides at the very bottom, and this is probably the gold mine that can give you all the information. I'm not going to go through each one of them, and I kind of intended to at some point, but there is a lot of information, all of which might not be relevant to each one of you. But it would be useful to know where to get this information, and that is the point with this call. The first guide is a license table for action pack partners and for competency partners. So this is an entire table of all the on-premise and cloud licenses that you get with an action pack subscription with a competency. And for each of the competencies, right? If you look at the license table for competency partners, it breaks it down by here are the core benefits, and if you have a cloud productivity competency, what are the additional licenses? Then there is the new software and version upgrades for both Action Pack and competency partners. So if any of the software has been retired, again, keep in mind that you cannot downgrade from a license once there's an upgrade and that particular internal use license availability expires. You will not be able to keep the previous license for a demo and test and whatever not. So keep that in mind, because these licenses we do provide to our partners so that you have the latest version of the product. And yes, it sometimes takes some time for us to bring out that latest version. But once we do, even though we keep in mind that you might be running on a previous version, you have a certain amount of grace period. And once that expires, you will not be able to downgrade back to that particular version of the license. The next guide there is the Program Administrator Guide to Software and Online Services Benefits. So if you are the program administrator for your company, so you're the person who's assigning these internal use licenses internally, what do you need to know? How can these licenses be used, and how can these licenses not be used? It is very important for you to understand that these are internal use licenses only. You cannot use this in production or for a customer facing website or anything like that. So these are internal only, and there are certain T's and C's that you will need to follow. There are times that partners do go through some audits if we do see that you are not using your internal use licenses as they are meant to be used. So it is very important for you or anyone within your company who is a program administrator to look through the Software and Online Services Guide. There is also a program end user guide. So if you're the program administrator, you're giving licenses to employee A, B, or C, there's an end user guide for them as well, which is very similar, but it's important for them to just kind of take a look through. Now, I know there's a lot of information, but there's a very good overview at the beginning of this guide, so you don't really have to go through each and every part of it. At the same time, this is part of an agreement when we give you a license, right? So it is useful for you to take a look at that. And then there's a product usage guide. And a lot of what I will talk to you about right now is all in there. How do I activate my Azure licenses? How do I activate my Office 365 licenses? And then along the same lines, any of the frequently asked questions are also answered in that FAQ document. So again, this is kind of the gold mine where you can go to get all of your questions about internal use rights answered. And I'd like to pause there again just for a couple of seconds if there are any questions. All right, moving on. Let's start with Azure. Now, the most common Azure scenarios are, and where you would use Azure would be for storage, data recovery, or backup. Now, some of the customer pain points that you would address and what we offer with Azure is listed here. The other common scenario would be virtual machines and custom websites on Azure. Now, these are the different scenarios that you can use Azure for, and this is the number of internal use licenses that you would get for Azure specifically. So with an Action Pack subscription, you get $100 Azure monthly credit. Again, $100 per month of Azure credit. With a competency, again, at the very bottom when it says other competencies, that's kind of the core set of benefits. You get $100 monthly credit with a silver competency, $100 monthly credit with a gold competency. But if you have a cloud platform competency, which is the Azure-based competency, you get an additional $6,000 Azure credit for a silver cloud platform competency and $12,000 Azure credit for a gold cloud platform competency. And this is in bulk, and this is in addition to the monthly credit that you would get. And how would you activate and assign your Azure internal use rights licenses? So there is a step-by-step support article that goes through with screenshots on what exactly you will need to do. You will have to activate your internal use rights licenses. You'll have to make sure you are the program administrator, and if you're not, you'll have to contact the program administrator in order to do that. And then from the list of products, you'll select Azure, and obtain the key. So you can obtain the cloud benefit. And again, there is step-by-step process flow on exactly how you would do it, how you can sign in, and how you can get it. And then if you're the program admin, how can you assign that to other people as well? I'll pause really quickly here for any questions. You will have to type it in, just so you know. And moving on, while I know Caesar had a question, moving on as he was typing that question up, there are some useful resources. Now, that support article that I just talked to you about how to activate your Microsoft Azure internal use right licenses, that's one. There is a series of blog posts by our subject matter expert, Frank Campisi, that talks to you about the value of utilizing your Azure benefits specifically, and how you can grow and manage your business with Azure IUR. There is specific training regarding that as well. Caesar, your question for the silver and gold cloud competencies, the extra 6K and 12K, is that credit per month or per year? That is per year. So let me go back really quickly. That is 6K per year. So with a silver cloud platform competency. Now, this also used to be broken down per month, but we got feedback from partners saying that bulk is better. So you get 6K and 12K once you attain the competency. Azure IURs assigned to individuals or a subscription. It is assigned to your partner organization, Kristen. Not sure if I can clarify beyond that. Yes, your team can share the Azure internal use licenses to collaborate together. That is my understanding. If there are specific how-to questions, I would look at the support document and or reach out to support, even at 1-800-MPN-SOLVE. They will be able to guide you through a specific scenario that you might have questions about. All right. Moving on to Office 365. Now, I really don't need to tell you about the scenarios that you would use Office 365 for, so jumping into exactly what you would get. For Action Pack subscription, you get 5 seats initially with an Action Pack subscription, and an additional 5 seats when you have sold at least 25 seats of Office 365 within the trailing 12 months. So you can get up to 10 seats of Office 365, and this is still E3. For competencies at the very bottom, so the core set for all other competencies is the 25 seats of E3 for a silver competency and 100 seats of E3 for a gold competency, right? For a cloud productivity and communications competencies only, you get 25 seats of Office 365 E5, along with 25 seats of Office 365 E3 with a silver competency, 100 seats of Office 365 E5, along with 100 seats of Office 365 E3 for the core benefit. For a small and mid-market cloud solutions competency, that is the other Office 365 competency, you get 10 seats of E3. There is no E5 for small and mid-market cloud solutions competency. No E5 licenses yet, at least. I don't know how that is going to change, but this is kind of the layout of what Office 365 IURs you are eligible for. And And again, similar to Azure, there is a support article that walks you through exactly how to activate and assign Office 365 internal use right licenses. You will need to be the program administrator. That is a given. And then you can take a look at the product keys. Do realize that with internal use licenses, it is attached to your membership, right? So when you activate your membership, when you pay for that competency, that's when your internal use license will be activated. So the product keys are associated with your anniversary date almost. So once you activate those keys a year later, when you renew your membership, you'll have to go back and get the updated keys also. And there is a step-by-step process for that as well. Again, the MPN support team is fabulous at helping you navigate through that. And when you are signing in, you'll have to make sure that you're using your partner organization or your company's ID and not like a customer's ID. I know some people have had trouble with that. They're logged in to help their customer and they're trying to activate their internal use licenses. And once it gets associated with a particular login, then you are kind of losing out on that. So please make sure that you're using like an in-private browser. It is your company's login and live ID that you're associating everything to. And in addition to the knowledge base articles, there are blog posts and also fast track for Office 365. And in addition to that, training specifically on how you can manage your business and grow your business with Office 365 internal use licenses. Caesar, are you able to use those in production? None of the internal use licenses you can use in production. However, if you're using it for email, for example, for Outlook, and you're that is an outbound thing, right? You're sending messages to customers, that's okay, but you still cannot use that for production. Yeah. James, I don't think for internal use licenses, at least, there is a way to upgrade. And again, it's not something that I know, and you're not the first person to ask me this question. I think this is the second time I've had this question this past week. So I know we have our subject matter expert also jumping on at around 10, and we'll hold the question until then. And if we can't get her to answer that, or if she doesn't jump on time, then I will take that question back and get that answer for you. Please do send me a note on Yammer. That would be great. And I would assume, James, that since there is no downgrade opportunity, like you cannot, if you do have an E5 license, and if you do get upgraded, for example, to that, and you cannot downgrade, I think the same would apply from an E3 to an E5, but I'm not entirely sure. And now moving on to Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online. With an Action Pack subscription, you get 0 seats initially, and you have the potential to get an additional 5 seats when you've sold at least 50 seats of Office 365 or 5 seats of CRM Online. And with a competency, the core benefits is 15 seats from a silver competency, 60 seats from a gold competency. And with a cloud CRM competency, you get 20 seats in addition to that. And with a gold CRM online competency, you get 40 seats. And there was an additional CRM competency that retired. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar. We went through an evolution of the competency process where about 12 competencies were retired. And this was about 2 years ago when it was first announced. And this December is the last day for those competencies to even be available or heard of. So if you have any one of those retiring competencies, please make sure that you renew into a competency that is not being retired. And similarly, for CRM Online, you can use the support article to get information on how to actually activate it. And there is specific training on activating your Dynamics CRM Online as well. With an enterprise, for Enterprise Mobility Suite for Action Pack, you get 5 seats. And with the core competency, you get 25 seats for silver, 100 seats for gold. And with each of the cloud competencies, you get incremental benefits. So I believe Enterprise Mobility Suite at this point in time and security, you have the most kind of incremental licenses that you get for internal use along with the core set. A lot of people have also asked us about Xamarin and Visual Studio. You do have that available to you. Visual Studio subscriptions, again, cannot be used for client-specific solutions in a direct revenue-generating activity. And that applies for almost all internal use licenses. You cannot use it for a direct revenue-generating activity. And you have additional resources about Visual Studio subscriptions listed there as well. So there's specific technical training for using your internal use rights, and I talked about it in each one of those product breakdowns that I had, but this is an overview of where you can find that. And some of the general resources, another question that I also get is, how do I know how many internal use licenses I am eligible for? And just one second. Shane is having issues. Shane, I think your question, is there another way to access? So one of the questions I get is, how do I know how many internal use licenses I am eligible for? And the partner summary report tells you exactly what you have with the competencies that you have attained. You can go to the partner portal at mspartner.microsoft.com, navigate to membership and your accounts and reports, and click on partner summary report once you have signed in. So, and there's also a blog post on the 3 tools for making the most of your internal use rights. There is the frequently asked questions guide, which again answers a lot of questions like, can you share licenses earned between locations? And can my organization qualify to purchase additional benefits? What is the difference between a product key and a token? Those are just some of the top 3 questions, but there are more that the support team has answered and made available to you. I'll pause really quickly. Are there any other questions regarding internal use licenses? All right, now moving on, all upcoming partner calls will be listed on the hot sheet. Now the hot sheet is the one place for all in-person and online training in the US. So in-person events, online training events in the US that are partner facing. We try to put together a calendar for the next 2 months so that you can plan out exactly and know exactly what's going on either within your city or in the virtual space. For MPN 101 community calls specifically, next week I'll be talking about going through all the benefits of an Action Pack subscription. And the week after that is the follow-up from the new partner orientation call. Every 2 months, I do a new partner orientation call where I give an overarching overview. That first 5 minutes that you heard on this call, I kind of break that down into 40 minutes, talking about incentives and investments and other programs that are available to you as part of the Microsoft Partner Program. The week after that, again, there's a technical communities and training breakdown, and then I talk about partner technical services. Again, these are the topics for November. If you're interested, you can register for them at the MPN 101 calls landing page. There is a short 7-minute overview for the Microsoft Partner Program that is available on YouTube, and there's a detailed overview, which is the new partner orientation. I have some steps. So if you are a new partner, then it's kind of I'm starting a new guided kind of nurture program. So definitely make sure you take a look at that if you plan on attending the follow-up call. Support options, if you didn't already know. The Partner Support Community Forums has all the questions answered for you. Again, because of how big the Microsoft Partner Program is and how many partners there have been over time, chances are if you have a question, it has already been answered or someone else has already asked it. So just do a quick search if you have a question and see if you can find an answer there. There's also phone-based support that I just gave you the number for. Signature cloud support, so this is the unlimited cloud support that I was talking to you about with a cloud competency around the product that you have a cloud competency in. The technical pre-sales and deployment services, this is what I'll be talking about in that partner technical services MPN 101 call. You get a certain amount of hours for technical consultation that you can use. So with an action pack subscription and with a competency, you're already paying for a certain number of advisory hours and technical consultation. Why not make use of it? And live chat support was added on this past year. So if you have any questions that maybe I might not be able to give you a clear answer on right now, for example, Bob, you were talking about Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. Are IUR licenses available today? If not, are there plans to offer them in the future? If you take a look at the license table, you'll be able to see, I know there are Dynamics 365 licenses available to you, but I'm just not sure if it is specific to finance and operations. If it's not available today, I'm not sure if there are plans on when that would come up in the future and what competency that would be associated to. That might be a question for Katerina, who has joined the call. Hi, Katerina.
Hello.
Thank you for joining, and you are the subject matter expert for internal use licenses on our Microsoft Partner Network team. Bob on the call has asked that he's interested in Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, and he's wondering if there are internal use licenses available today, and if not, are there plans to offer them in the future?
I'm happy to answer. Just need to, so who do we have on the call? I just want to make sure I understand who our audience is.
Yeah, so Bob is a partner who's been on this call, and the question he has is regarding Dynamics 365 internal use licenses, specifically for finance and operations. So if he's looking to get a competency, would he get that today? Would he get those IUR licenses today? And if that's not available today, would it be offered sometime in the future?
Great. So this is a great question. I'm happy to answer. So if the IURs for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations were only recently launched and made available to a select group of partners who have reached certain revenue goals. They're really intended for the Cloud Business Applications competency, but we understand that today Cloud Business Applications competency is only available in Partner Center. We have built a way to provide access to those benefits to partners who meet the criteria to kind of request them one-off. So those partners, and I have an FAQ that I'll be able to share with you, Chinmay. I'm looking to actually publish that, so I'm in the process of kind of waiting to hear if it has been published, and this would help answer questions about that specific IUR.
Perfect. Thank you. And
Yeah.
Bob, we could also take this question offline. So sounds like the cloud business applications competency would be what you would want to aim for. It is still not available for all partners yet. It's kind of a coming soon status. So for Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, if you want to make sure you get those IURs, that would be the way to go. Thank you, Katerina.
No problem.
All right. And I think that's about it in terms of these are all the ways to connect with us. You can definitely subscribe to the newsletter. You're already participating in the MPN 101 calls. Please do engage with us on Yammer and Twitter and or Facebook. And we do have Katerina on the line, so if there are any other questions that didn't get answered before, please ask them and we'll be more than happy to answer it also. Katerina, one other question there was, is there a good way to upgrade E3, Office 365 E3 internal use licenses to E5 other than to add on individual product subscriptions? James had that question earlier.
Today, the licenses that are provided through MPN are as they are. So the only way to get access to an E5 version would be if you have E5 available to you through some of the competencies.
Yeah. Okay. So if they have a cloud productivity or a communications competency, they'll
Correct.
get E5, but there's no upgrade.
There is no upgrade available for the E3 versions.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right, folks on the call, thank you so much for joining. Please let us know if you were satisfied with the content. Again, we will stick around for additional questions if you have any. Mark, we have a Silver Cloud Platform competency, but I do not see the 6K credit listed on the IURS site. How do I get this to show up? If you're having trouble accessing any of that credit, I think MPN support would be the best place to go. Katerina, do you have any other suggestions?
No, absolutely. I would say contact our frontline agents. They're available via chat, and they can help you get access to this credit. So all you need to do is just reach out to them. Perfect.
So Mark, through the partner portal, so partner.microsoft.com, you can go to the live chat support, or you can call them. Since you have a cloud competency, you have a Silver Cloud competency, you can call the support number and they'd be able to help you out. All right, thanks everyone. I'll give a few minutes back on your calendar. Again, there's a question popping up on how you were how satisfied you were with the content presented. Please do give me the feedback, and if you were expecting something else or something more from this call, the call deck will be emailed to you by the end of the day today. Thank you again, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week.